Tuesday, April 7, 2026, AGNDD, Intel Report topic. Trump says a whole civilization will die tonight ahead of deadline for Iran. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this partially AI-generated article-based video. Trump says a whole civilization will die tonight ahead of deadline for Iran. The threat, some of Trump's most extreme rhetoric toward Iran since the war started, sparked a wave of denunciations from Democrats and mostly silence from top Republicans. April 7, 2026, 9:48 a.m. EDT. Updated April 7, 2026, 5 p.m. EDT. By Megan Lebowitz and Sahil Kapoor. President Donald Trump threatened Tuesday on Truth Social that a whole civilization will die tonight as the deadline for an agreement on a ceasefire in the war with Iran nears. The message, his most extreme public rhetoric to date against the country, comes less than 12 hours before he says, the U.S. will launch attacks on Iran's infrastructure over Tehran's continued disruption of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again, Trump said in the Post. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? Trump wrote, referring to the killings of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and other leaders, although it is unclear what the full impact of their deaths Iran's government has been. We will find out tonight, one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world, Trump continued. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. The statement sparked a wave of fierce and immediate condemnations from Democrats. In recent days, Trump has made a series of escalating threats against Tehran, threatening to bomb the country into the Stone Ages and calling the Iranian government crazy bastards while demanding that it open up the key shipping route. Reached for comment on what Trump meant by his latest threat and whether whole civilization signified that the U.S. would target civilian areas, White House spokesperson Anna Kelly said, "Refer to the truth." After he extended the deadline multiple times for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route that about a fifth of the world's oil and natural gas usually passes through, Trump announced 8 p.m. ET Tuesday as the final deadline for Iran to come to a deal. In a post Sunday, Trump threatened Iran's power plants and bridges if it did not reopen the strait by the Tuesday deadline, using expletives and invoking Islam. Democrats moved rapidly to denounce Trump's threats, warning that such strikes would constitute war crimes, and called on largely silent Republican leaders to hold votes to end the Iran war. Donald Trump is completely unhinged. His statement threatening to eradicate an entire civilization shocks the conscience and requires a decisive congressional response, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, DNY, said in a joint statement with his leadership team. The House must come back into session immediately and vote to end this reckless war of choice in the Middle East before Donald Trump plunges our country into World War III. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY, and a group of Democratic ranking members of key Senate committees issued a rare joint statement warning Trump that he must not follow through on this threat. We speak today with one voice and one purpose: to condemn President Trump's threat to extinguish an entire civilization, the senators said, intentionally destroying the power, water, or basic infrastructure upon which tens of millions of civilians depend to punish the very civilians who suffer at the hands of the Iranian regime would constitute a war crime, a betrayal of the values this nation was founded on, and a moral failure. Sen. Alyssa Slotkin, D. Meach, a former CIA analyst, warned that targeting civilians on a mass scale would be a clear violation of the law of armed conflict as laid out in the Geneva Conventions, as well as the Pentagon's Law of War Manual, and she revived her calls for service members to refuse illegal orders. I hope and believe our troops, especially those in command, will have the moral clarity to push back if they are given clearly illegal orders, Slotkin said in a statement. Meanwhile, most GOP leaders in Congress had little to say following Trump's statement. The offices of House Speaker Mike Johnson, R-Lay, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, RSD, didn't reply to messages seeking comment. The official Senate Republican X account published an unsigned post saying, "Iran would be wise to take President Trump at his word. They can choose the easy way or the hard way." The handle is run by the staff of Senator Tom Cotton, R-Arc. Still, a number of MAGA influencers and Trump allies criticized Trump's post Tuesday on Truth Social and have increasingly pushed back against his Iran policy in recent days. Senator Ron Johnson, R-Wis, said Monday that he doesn't want to see the U.S. attack Iran's civilian infrastructure, marking a rare break with Trump. "I am hoping and praying that President Trump, that this really is bluster. I do not want to see us start blowing up civilian infrastructure," Johnson said on an episode of the John Solomon Reports podcast. "I do not want to see that. We are not at war with the Iranian people. We are trying to liberate them," he added. Trump spoke to Fox News' Brett Baier by phone Tuesday morning. He said 8 p.m. is happening, Baier relayed on the air. "That's what he said. He said it is. If we get to that point, there is going to be an attack like they have not seen. Now," he said, "if negotiations move forward today and there is something concrete, that could change. But at this hour, he didn't want to put odds on it. But he said it is moving forward with the plans that we have." Trump repeated threats against the country's infrastructure at a news conference Monday, telling reporters that the U.S. has a plan where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. International law experts have concurred with Democrats that Trump's threats against things like power stations would be potential war crimes if they were carried out. Trump is openly threatening collective punishment, targeting not the Iranian military but the Iranian people, said Kenneth Roth, the former executive director of Human Rights Watch, noting that collective punishment of civilians during armed conflict is a violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention. "Attacking civilians is a war crime. So is making threats with the aim of terrorizing the civilian population," he said, explaining that threatening to carry out a war crime is potentially a war crime itself under international humanitarian law. Some rank-and-file Democratic senators criticized Trump's post Tuesday as completely unstable and unhinged. Others, including Sen. Ed Markey of Massachusetts and Rep. Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, called for Trump's impeachment or removal from office. Across the aisle, former Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, a Trump ally turned critic, also called for Trump to be removed through the 25th Amendment. 25th Amendment, she posted on X. "Not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness." The 25th Amendment lays out the presidential succession plan, as well as a process for the vice president and members of the cabinet to remove the president from office, potentially with the involvement of Congress, if the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Across the aisle, former Reverend Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, a Trump ally turned critic, also called for Trump to be removed through the 25th Amendment. 25th Amendment, she posted on X. "Not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness." The 25th Amendment lays out the presidential succession plan, as well as a process for the vice president and members of the cabinet to remove the president from office, potentially with the involvement of Congress, if the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Update April 7, 2026, 8 p.m. EDT. President Donald Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire with Iran on Tuesday night, hours after he'd threatened, "A whole civilization will die tonight," and about 90 minutes before a deadline he set for Tehran to reach an agreement with the U.S. based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks, he wrote on Truth Social.
Thank you for watching this AGND Intelli Report, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers!